eggs.
We love eggs.
It's no surprise that the Brothers Green love themselves some eggs. I mean, it's one of our favorite ingredients. Our biggest video ever, 5 million hits, is all about cooking eggs creatively.
And it makes sense because that was the first thing we ever cooked. The first thing we fell in love with in the kitchen was eggs. And the truth is, our parents were not the best cooks. The only thing my dad even cooked was a bacon, egg, and cheese sandwich.
Perfectly crafted bacon, egg, and cheese. Eggs are so easy to cook and they're super versatile. There's so many things you can do, and it's like a great sort of like bridge to get into the kitchen. You scramble yourself some eggs, you made food, and you feel good about yourself.
And breakfast is an easy way to learn as well. So what we wanted to do for you is just give you a little eggumentary.
Education.
Because eggs are such an important part of our life, an important part of how we learn how to cook. We just want to give you an entire rundown of eggs, and it's a perfect time for that because we are on a little egg tour right now.
So we're partnered up with Nellies, and they have free-range, Humane certified, amazing eggs, and they basically took us on a little tour, kind of around the East Coast. We got to go meet the farmers. We cooked dishes for fans. We did like meetups. We hung out with the hens, got to see where they live.
It's been an incredible tour. We've learned so much about eggs, and we've made some insane dishes. So let's get into this eggumentary.
So the first thing that we ever learned to cook and felt confident cooking, I would surprise friends with this in the morning. I wake my friends up to a bacon, egg, and cheese.
That was a Green Brothers thing right there. Sleepover parties, and we had like 8 breakfast sandwiches.
And they would all be sleeping in the basement. The basement was pitch dark.
It's funny, we always love cooking for people, and that was the beginning.
The feeling of like making something for someone when they're like, oh, I usually buy that at so-and-so, and then you make it for them, and they're like, oh.
Exactly.
So this is the Papa Green bacon, egg, and cheese. So basically what we do, get a pan out, get some bacon on there, kind of bring the heat up to temperature, let that fat render out. You want your bacon to get crispy, but you do not want to puffify it. If you over crispy it, it becomes not bacon anymore. It's just like dust.
It just dissolves.
It's like dust that holds together, not very good. So you flip it over, you cook it on both sides. Once it's done, just pull out the bacon, and then you want to save that oil. If there's too much oil, you dump a little bit out and save that for later.
Wipe it off a little bit.
Then just take a bowl, scramble up some eggs. We usually do about a 2. I'd say about a 2 egg-ish omelet.
2 egg works great.
3 is aggressive, but you go for it. A little salt and pepper, beat that thing up, and then just pour it right into the pan with the bacon grease. About, say like medium-ish. Like you don't want to cook your eggs too high, they will burn.
And this is where Papa Greens comes into play. My dad is a precise guy, and he used to fold these things up so nicely, and that's how we learned to do it.
He's a surgeon, so he's like, it's
everything was perfect in this. I couldn't even get it as well as I remember him doing it, but it was this perfect square. So you flip it over, then you put the bacon on, and then the cheese.
The cheese goes on, it melts down.
And it actually holds in the bacon, and then you gotta serve that on a bagel, of course. I added some ketchup. That's just like...
Ketchup and hot sauce is like the classic.
They had some ketchup at the bagel store.
Why did you use the poppy seed bagel, though?
Well, it was just the prettiest looking, but I did buy and everything.
Sesame,
don't get me
everything
wrong.
in sesame, that's the way to go.
Don't get me wrong.
So once you got your bacon, egg, and cheese down, you're in a pretty good spot to feel confident about cooking. And I think if you can make that, it's amazing. You can also wrap it up if you want to use wraps. You can, of course, avoid the bread. You can use like a hash brown set. There's so many ways you can go with eggs.
This guy, I remember, was using the George Foreman to make eggs, which was just like the most insane thing I've ever seen because it was not meant, there was ridges in it. So I just remember— I
think I was the first person to ever cook eggs in the Foreman.
He would crack the eggs in there and he would, they would puff up, but I remember just always struggling to clean it, to get the eggs up.
For when it comes to eggs, start with something simple. Breakfast sandwich, maybe do a scramble, a fried egg. When you can make that, also making a fried egg is amazing because if you know how to fry a good egg, that goes on everything. One thing that I found really cool about this Nellies tour is like we were educating people, but we were also getting educated. So getting to go to the Fry family farm, they have a greenhouse there and they have all their chickens that lay eggs.
The greenhouse is amazing because they grow all their plants from seeds and they have the most insane varieties there. And then we headed over to the actual chicken coop, which was really cool to see because you saw the actual chickens free ranging. So there's a big difference between cage-free and free-range. These are free-range chickens. Cage-free really doesn't mean too much other than they're free of a cage.
They're not in a little cage. And here's the thing, when you go to the supermarket and you look at egg cartons, it's so confusing. And before this campaign, I was confused myself because there's like 800 labels. There's like hormones, cage-free, free-range.
And
like
80% of
free.
chickens are actually in cages their entire life, like in a tiny little cage. So cage-free means they're free of a cage, but definitely look for free range, which means they can actually range free on
They get to go
a
outside,
field like this, which
go in
is
the
great
field.
because they can forage food, they can eat bugs, eat grass, they can be happy, of course, outside. And we had fresh eggs right from the chickens, so I was inspired. So we actually went into the Fry's house, the farmer's house, and we cooked up a bunch of stuff. There were fresh eggs there. We had some bread, so we got after it. So Josh was staying in the Williamsburg Hotel, right?
Yes.
And they are actually attached to Brooklyn Bread Lab, which I apprenticed in. I took some bread classes there. They make the best sourdough bread in the entire, I would say in the entire city. It's the best I've ever had. And they make it all for the actual hotel, and Josh asked for some.
I asked the chef, and I was like, do you have any leftover bread? And he ended up giving me 4 giant loaves.
Yeah, so this is one of the loaves, so I figured for lunch, we would fry it up. We had all these extra Nellies eggs, so we fried that up, and I made pretty much my go-to thing when I don't know what to make. This is avocado toast with some fried eggs. We're gonna sprinkle on a little parsley, and I think that will be that. The egg recipes just keep on flowing. When they're fresh, when they're here, you might as well use them. So I brought some leftovers. I had some brown rice, a little bit of duck meat from a stock, some veggies. Why not turn it into a quick fried rice? Fry these up on the side.
You think I'm not eating this whole thing?
Oh,
Another thing coming to you.
Listen, I went through the effort to bring this,
So I get to eat it.
I get it.
It's not how it works. Older brother privileges. We learned a term called certified humane. So if you see that on eggs, or if you see that even on any other thing, if you see that on meat packages, that means they have a standard for making sure that the animal is raised really well. That means they have good feed, that means they have good water, it's clean. They're basically being raised in a place where they're taken care of. And the reason I think it's important is because just eating food from anywhere, you don't really know where it's coming from, how the animal's treated, and the energy, I believe, actually transfers into the animal. So getting to see animals that are taken care of, the food's gonna be better for you.
So definitely look for certified humane, and Nellies Eggs has it right on the books.
After we left the farm, it was pretty hilarious because we had the opportunity to we drove to New York, but we were on this hen mobile. So they designed this mobile with this giant hen on it that we were driving around on. People were
The Brothers
giving us
Green
looks.
Nellies hen mobile right there.
We headed into New York. We did a little cooking on the street. We made an epic frickin', like a Brazilian hash. And then we brought it to cook with some kids.
Yeah, and cooking with kids is one of my favorite things to do because, you know, when I was a
They're
kid...
the future.
They're the
They're the
future.
future.
And if you can get them young cooking simple things, it's incredible. So we got to cook the same hash for them, and then we also did a little dessert. We did a little, almost like
Tart.
egg custard tart.
It was really good.
And it was great because we were cooking there and we had some leftover pie crust and the kids were playing with the pie crust. And I was like, you know what? Why don't we just fry that pie crust up, coat it in some cinnamon sugar, so they love that as well.
So on our final day, we went to Alexandria, Virginia, and we did a little bit of a fan meetup contest. So we gave some fans a little bit of money to go to the market and just buy whatever they wanted to challenge us to make some delicious dish.
This was
using eggs,
no
and that's
rigging,
it.
no rigging. All we had was eggs, some oil, and we got
In 10
so
minutes.
creative. The coolest dish we made was this egg noodle pasta with this incredible creme fraiche tomato
Spicy
sauce.
sausage.
And the person was actually carb free. It was a couple. They were in from Sweden that were Brothers Green fans. They just happened to be like in Alexandria.
Their minds were blown because we basically just took the eggs and we turned it into, without using flour or anything, we just like rolled it up, sliced like an omelet into these little pasta strips, and when you ate it, it was delicious.
So my question of the day is, what do you enjoy most about eggs and cooking eggs?
Oh, we cook them every day.
It's delicious. How fast it is.
Fast, all right?
It's cheap and they're really good protein. They're really good for you, and just the texture is so nice.
Just that they're so versatile. There's so much you can do with it. I just kind of make it with everything, basically. Like usually, like if I'm making breakfast, of course I'm making eggs. I make a lot of stir fries with like chicken and like mixed vegetables and stuff. And then if I want to make it taste better, I just put an egg in it, and that usually works.
Put an egg in it and it usually works. Thank you, man.
That was the end of the adventure, and it was just really great to connect deeper to eggs because it was such a valuable thing for
Well,
us.
it's definitely
in
our
cooking.
favorite ingredient, I think, of all time. It's the most versatile ingredient, and getting to learn how important it is for hens that are taken care of, like actually treated well, treated as they should be, the difference in taste and difference in flavor, the difference in just like deliciousness.
And you know, versatility, that kept coming up, and it's true. It's like every time you have an egg in your hand, like who knows? That's why we created that one video that was so popular. It's like, who knows what you can do with it? You can do so many different things with it.
So much.
So if you guys want to see the entire adventure, click on the link below.
And we're gonna leave you guys off with one final super creative egg recipe that anybody can make.
This is something I've been making all the time. I've been obsessed with it, and I just had to show you the full recipe. So this came out of roasting sweet potatoes, actually. I take sweet potatoes and I roast them whole. It's one of my favorite things to do. Just throw them in a pan, about 375 in the oven for at least an hour until they are super soft. You can press them in. Then they come out and they just peel completely out of their skin. Crack 5 eggs into a bowl and stir that up. And then you can take, one of those sweet potatoes. It's nice and mushy. Just squeeze it right in there and mix it up, and you've got this sweet potato egg batter. Now get a nice little small pan on medium heat. I'm using this cast iron pan. I added a little bit of olive oil and butter, and I just added some spinach and asparagus. You can use, of course, any vegetables you want.
Meat too, whatever.
Meat would be great, and just stir that up and get that nice and sauteed. Start to wilt down that spinach. Then I added a little bit of salt and pepper, and then just poured in the egg and potato mixture. And I cooked that on medium heat for about 4 minutes until the bottom is nice and golden brown. And this is like my frittata technique right here. Takes a little bit of time to master it. Like I said, this is kind of more on the high level egg recipe. We've given you all of the easy ones, and you just want to get it.
It's like a medium level.
It's a medium
There's
level.
some
But
high-
it,
there's some
once
crazy eggs out there.
once you really nail down the frittata, then you'll never screw it up again. But it took me a while to kind of get the hang of it. Then what I do is I throw it in an oven at about 375 degrees for 5 minutes, and that starts to solidify and cook all of the eggs. And you'll see I bring that out after 5 minutes, and it's still a little bit of jiggle right there, just a little bit of jiggle. And then I just turn on my broiler and finish it off in the broiler for like 1 minute, and you can see it comes out
You
super
can torch
crispy.
the top too if you want. And so you didn't add cheese. Sprinkle a
No,
little
no cheese. You could
cheesito
get,
in
of
there.
course, any type of herbs,
Oh,
whatever you want. And then what I like to do is let that sit, because eggs continue to cook after they're done cooking, you could say. So it's gonna set up nice if you just let it sit for 10 minutes. Then of course, just flip it over, chop it up. And that's how we're gonna end our egg adventure.
Thank you guys so much. Check out nelliesfreerange.com and check out their eggs. They're in stores across America.
Delicious eggs. We hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.